Okay, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, you can't really see it.
So here's the deal. So this is the type of podcast where we're talking, like we're just talking, and then eventually you find yourself wondering, has the podcast even started? You know, so you ask me, have we started yet? And then I say, yeah, this is it.
I thought we were starting with Canada.
No. Oh, don't mention Canada. You don't know. Well, listen.
You can edit all this out.
I'll bring up the Canada trivia at the very end. That's the last thing.
Oh, okay.
So I hope you're feeling, like you're ready to. I don't want to spring it on you. I mean,
yeah.
I did mention beforehand that we will have some Canadian trivia, so you know.
I love Canada.
You know it's coming. That's good to know. But that's what we'll kind of close with that. That'll come at the end.
Universal healthcare, legal weed.
Pardon me?
You said universal healthcare, legal weed.
Oh yeah, you
stuff
love
like
that country. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. But at some point you will, because we're just having a casual conversation, and then you'll have to ask me, like, have we started yet? And then I'll say, yeah, this is it, man. This is the podcast. You've seen podcasts like that, right? Or heard podcasts like that?
I actually do not listen to podcasts.
Really?
Not at all, ever.
But you are the...
I host 2 of them, yeah.
Ah, okay.
But I don't like listening to people talk.
No kidding.
I know it sounds terrible. But,
Well, do you listen to the radio?
I think the reason I don't like podcasts because I grew up with right-wing talk radio on all of the time.
So tell me who you heard on right-wing radio.
Oh, well, Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck. There's a local guy in my hometown of Rochester, New York, Bob Lonsberry. He's a real piece of garbage. So I think I just associate talking like on the radio with this like
With conservatives?
with this just like this really negative, angry,
like blowhard
blowhard
conservatives.
things. And also I tend to zone out when people are talking for too long. I can read for like hours straight. So if I want to know something, I'll read about it.
Yeah.
I don't listen about it.
Well, you're a big reader. And how many books would you say you read per year?
I don't know, like between 40 and 50.
Oh, all right. It's not as many as I thought.
No, it's not.
I thought
as
you
many.
read more books than that.
No.
Are you wondering if we've started the podcast yet?
Has the podcast started?
Yeah, man, this is it.
I didn't even know.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're already
well,
into it. Yeah.
Welcome.
It's this kind of thing. And let me say, for the people who are watching, welcome. So
I'm glad to be here.
This podcast, I'm glad to have you. This podcast, by the way, is called Work in Progress. So it's all about work, and basically, I just talk to people I know about the work that they do and their jobs, and let them sort of talk about it a little bit. So why don't you do yourself the honor of introducing yourself?
Oh, I have to introduce myself.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kind of 2-bit operation is this.
Yeah. Well, both bits are right.
Both of okay.
So what's your name, guy?
My name is Matthew Stewart.
Or Matt, as I call you.
Yeah, Matthew's my professional name.
You go by Matthew around the office?
No, but I sign things that way.
Like checks?
Like my email signature, stuff
okay.
like that. So, I mean, are we going to talk about how we know each other, or?
We can, yeah.
So Jim and I went to the New School and got our MFA in creative nonfiction together. Yep. We're in not many classes together, but a couple.
Yeah, a few, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And an MFA, for anyone who doesn't know, is?
Master of Fine Arts.
Yeah, and we got our Masters of Fine Arts in creative writing, specializing in
creative nonfiction.
And you and I both continue to write, but tell me about your sort of day-to-day, 9-to-5 job. What do you do?
Yeah, so I have kind of a unicorn job. I don't know. I work at Carnegie Mellon's business school, the Tepper School of Business. I work with master's students. I work in a center pardon me, called the Accelerate Leadership Center. Leadership is basically like a fancy way of saying like interpersonal communication skills. The center was founded about a decade ago. I've been there for 6.5 years. And what we were finding is that our students were getting great jobs coming out of, Carnegie Mellon and their MBA program is known for analytics. It's known for being like number bots. And students were getting great jobs coming out, but they weren't progressing in their jobs because they didn't have the people skills that were needed to progress.
Okay, so just like business robots?
Basically, business robots, yeah. Engineers are like, we get a ton of engineers that decide to get their MBA because it's the only way they can move up in their company. But if you're not learning interpersonal skills, that's the only way that you can actually like move up to a higher role in your company.
Yeah.
So I started working there about 6.5 years ago as like an administrative support position. Our big, the big thing that we do is we have 3 full-time leadership coaches, which are basically executive coaches for students. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's definitely not therapy, but it's more figuring out unpacking how you network with people and how you act in the office. The big thrust of our office is emotional intelligence and empathy. So we try and make people more human, or to get more in touch with the human side of themselves.
Sure, improving their communication skills.
Exactly, and just and learning to care about other people. I don't a lot of people I'm not meaning this to speak poorly about any of our students or anything like that, but a lot of people think that if they just do the job and do it well, that's all that matters. But really, it's the kind of the water cooler talk that helps you connect with people, so that people learn who you are. If you're doing a really good job at Amazon, there's so many people that work there that it kind of doesn't matter. But if you can get in with people, if you can have personal connections with people, that's really how you move up. So I started in an administrative support position, and then about 2.5 years after I started there, my supervisor left. She's actually one of our coaches now, but she left the director position, and we hired a woman named Leanne Meyer, who is honestly the best boss that I've ever had. She she saw potential in me that I didn't see, and in my coworker Michelle. My coworker Michelle is a poet, Michelle Stoner. She also has an MFA in creative writing from Carnegie University.
Does she have work out? Does she have anything published?
She had a book come out about 15 years ago called Flats and Riots, and she's working on a collection now.
And where is she from?
She is from Ligonier, Pennsylvania, which is an hour or so outside of Pittsburgh. So when I relocated to Pittsburgh, this was my first job there. But Leanne took over. She, is one of those people who wants to make a lot of change, which is not necessarily a good thing in a new supervisor. And there was definitely some tension there. But she saw potential in Michelle and I, and we came up with this idea, there's no better way to learn people skills than through the arts. So we wrote a proposal. I can't remember everything that was in it, but I know it was based upon a George Saunders quote that was something along the lines of when you're reading a great piece of art, you're not just you are everybody. And we wrote a proposal, found a donor that was interested in paying for this. So what we did was we experimented with a lot of different things. We had 2 different artists set up basically miniature exhibitions within the master students lounge space, and then had the artists come in and talk. That looked cool, but it didn't have a lot of traction with students, not as much as we'd like. We also have a series of workshops that we work with different people from around the university and around the city of Pittsburgh. We have an improv company that comes in and does improv workshops for students. They absolutely love it.
Do you ever take part in any
I
of
do
this?
not take part in that, no.
Could you ever see yourself doing any improv?
I could not see myself doing that, no.
Do you ever watch improv? Do you watch these classes at all?
I watch the classes. They
in on
have.
some?
Oh yeah, I sit in with the workshops every single time, and students have a blast and they learn a lot from it. So
Zip, zap, zop.
they don't do that one.
Oh. Well, that's the
They
only
do
one
like
I know.
yes and is one of those.
Well, yeah,
things,
yes, and that's all of
that's
it, right?
classic. Yeah. Whose line is it anyway? That's what I knew about improv before this.
Did you ever find out whose line it was?
I did not. No. They're still searching. That show's still on. I'm pretty sure, in one form or another.
Oh, really? With
Yeah.
Drew Carey?
Drew Carey, no, he hosts Price of Right.
Oh, yeah,
or
that's
Price is
right,
Right
yeah.
now, which is bizarre.
Yeah.
Anyway, so improv workshops, we do, one that's another big hit is we have brilliant musician conductor from the School of Music, Lance LeDuc, comes in and he teaches students how to conduct musicians.
Wow.
As like a leadership skill.
Uh-huh.
And then it turns into like kind of this like, I want it like a competition type game show, you know what I mean? Where like students like conduct a piece and then they like the actual like it's Lance runs the Tartan Tuba band, so it's all like tuba or like
So
baritone players that are in this
the
band.
Tartans are the...
The Tartans are the mascot of Carnegie Mellon. Yeah, just our mascot is a piece of plaid. No, actually, like the Tartans are the name of like the sports team, which like Carnegie Mellon is not known for sports.
Sure.
Like you wouldn't even know that they had a sports team.
Well, I didn't. Until just now.
And I'll be honest, I don't know what. I think there's a football team. I'm not 100% sure about anything else.
We'll find out later.
Yeah.
We'll fix that in post.
We'll fix it in post. So yeah, we like the band themselves like rate the conductors as to whether or not like they're doing well or not, and then it like goes down to like 2 people, and then like someone kind of wins. So and there's lots of correlations between like being a leader in the business world and being a conductor. It's all about like following cues from your team, like directing them. If it's pretty amazing when a student does a poor job directing because it's just chaos. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know what I mean?
The
Like
band is everywhere,
yeah.
people going off in different directions.
Yeah.
That would be really fun to watch.
It is really fun to watch. There's a video up on YouTube of Lance doing this. Yeah, you'll have to maybe link to it or something.
Okay, yeah.
We work with the School of Design, doing like design thinking workshops, teaching students how to like think more creatively. I'm trying to think of what other ones that we've done that have been really good. We had someone from the School of English do a workshop on metaphors. Lots of weird, cool stuff. And it's one of the few times that students actually get to have fun when they're getting their MBA. An MBA program, like especially at Carnegie Mellon, well, I would say at Carnegie Mellon, is basically an advanced math degree. Like they learn like algorithms and stuff like that. Like that's like Carnegie Mellon is known for its analytics and math and science focus.
In an MBA?
In an MBA, yeah. So like it's very like heads down, working really hard, and then they get like into a workshop like this and they get to be like people again. They like forget what that's like while they're there. So that's like another cool thing that we do. I'm trying to think of other. Oh, we brought students to the Carnegie Museum of Art, and they went on this just happened like 2 weeks ago, but we've done it a handful of times before. We have docents at the museum lead them on like a tour of like 5 to 10 different pieces of art, and to talk about like why did the artist create this? Like what was the impetus behind it? What do you think when you see it? And then like students are like always blown away that like other people don't see the world in the exact same way that they do, which is like you'd think like it's maybe like I don't want to paint a picture like they're all narcissists, but like we all are narcissistic to a certain degree. Like it's very hard to realize like you like this music and I don't, like some, you know what I mean? Like especially when you're younger,
Yeah.
Like,
How can you not like this, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the greatest thing ever.
How can you not like Garth Brooks? You know, he's the best.
I mean, what's the famous song of his I'm trying to think of right now?
I got friends in low
Yeah,
places. But
great.
that is a great song.
It is a great song.
Yeah.
He can write a hit.
Yeah. It's like an anthem, you know?
It is. Oh yeah. So that's like the workshop piece of what we do. And then like the program that I created and that I run is a program called Tepper Reads, because it's the Tepper School of Business. And what we do is we read a novel together. It's completely voluntary, but we usually get between 100 and 150 students that
Great turnout,
participate.
yeah.
And there were a lot of components to it to the beginning. Like I had like a podcast series with like 8 podcasts a semester, and like we tried doing like, a bunch of like meeting every other week to talk about it. These students are way too busy for that.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, it was overkill. So we've
Meeting, so almost like a book club.
it's a book. It is a book club. I mean, I call it a community reading project.
Yeah. And then and then in the podcast, who are you talking to on the podcast?
It's kind of changed. We didn't do one for this semester because we weren't getting the listens that we like, because these are busy
Students are too busy.
Yeah. But like, it started out as me interviewing. I'm the host of it. Me interviewing certain some of my coworkers about different like viewing different novels through a like business lens or a leadership lens. We used to partner with a professor for each book with a professor from the School of English. We don't do that anymore because we don't have the funding anymore, so we're trying to save our money, and B, we found just from feedback from students that it wasn't a value add. Like I don't want to say they didn't care that there was a professor there or not, but they just wanted to talk about the book, and they wanted someone to help facilitate that conversation
As
with
opposed
them.
to being lectured to.
Exactly, yeah.
So tell me some of the books that you've read so far in this program, and what are some of the books, and how do they get selected?
Well, let me finish talking about what's in the program first.
Yeah.
So now what we do is I do a kickoff every time where I do a presentation on why we chose the book that we chose. Like, what are you gonna get? What do you expect from it? What are you gonna get for it? We buy the copies of the books for students. They get the book for free. Then we meet.
Hardcover, paperback.
Whatever the cheapest version of the book is.
Okay.
But I've been doing bigger, I've been doing more recent books lately, so there's only been a hardcover option. So then we meet a few weeks into it. I call it the midpoint meetup, and we talk about like where we are in the book and some of the themes that have come up, and then we do. A final meetup and author visit. So we have like that we've honed down to like an hour and a half. The first half hour is me and the students talking about like, holy crap, this is what happened at the end, or here's what I got out of it. Here's what I got. Here's what I didn't get out of it. Here's what I wish happened. All the fun stuff, because I just like talking about books. So like that I get to do it for my job is pretty amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, because we have this funding, we have the author join for a Q&A at the end. And that is cool as hell.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get to meet authors very often, especially not in a business school. And students, like, you would not think this from business school students. They're really into knowing what the creative process is like. Like where did this like book come from? What was the impetus to create it? Like, and that, I mean, we are interested in that stuff as like writers and book nerds.
Sure, but I can see why that would make sense. Why a business student would be curious about that, because they want to come up with, say, new business ideas.
Exactly. There's lots of students that that go in the entrepreneurship track. They're wanting to start their own companies. There's actually like a whole like basically like a startup generator is in part of the business school called the Swartz Center for Entrepreneurship, and like students on the entrepreneurship track of the MBA like basically live in there and create like business ideas. Anyway, so like the creative process is always really interesting. Like why did this character do this is always interesting, like learning the motives of people. And these are all things that you learn from reading. Like the most effective way, I mean, I think, okay, so here's one of the many ways that I pitch it to students when I'm like, we always have like a pitch, like in an email, like here's why you want to join. There is actually research behind this that the New School for Social Sciences, like not our MFA New School, but the other part, another part of the New School, they came out with a report, or a study about 10 years ago. I can't remember the name of the professors that did it, but they found that reading actually does increase one's empathy. They called it they called it theory of mind, and
reading fiction in particular, right?
Reading fiction, literary fiction. So like not like and not to like poo-poo mystery writers or romance novelists or whatever, but not stuff that's like more like churned out, but stuff that actually helps you get into inside the head of another character. And there's been all sorts of research. I've actually come across studies where reading an actual book actually makes you more empathetic than if you were to read something on an e-reader.
Like a physical book.
Yeah, like a physical book where you turn the pages and you can see like how far you have left, like all those things mentally. Like e-readers or reading on a screen has only been around for what, 30 years, 40 years, something like that, you know? Books have been around.
Well, reading entire books especially though.
Yeah. But books have been around like in a physical form for hundreds of years. So like our brains haven't evolved enough yet to like completely process everything that you see on a screen. There's also research that like reading versus listening to a book actually helps increase empathy more, because you're internalizing the words as opposed, because like if you're listening to a book on tape, you could be driving and then get cut off in traffic or whatever. Or you could be like,
you swear at somebody.
Yeah.
Finger,
Exactly.
Call them a nasty word. Don't say the word.
Yes, no, I won't. Or like you're like on your exercise bike or whatever. You're thinking about like doing the next mile or whatever. So you're not necessarily like reading a book for it's like the most magical thing in the world. I think like it forces you to focus completely on this thing. And to like internalize the thoughts and feelings of another, which like there's nothing else like it that does it. So these are all things that like we pitch to students. I actually saw, I read an article in The Guardian maybe 3 years ago that there was the German government did this research study where they could predict where wars would break out based on popular fiction in those areas of the country. Or in those areas of the world. Pretty fascinating stuff. Like just like the power of the written words. Cool as hell.
Yeah. Based on the popular fiction.
Yeah.
So like according to what people were reading?
Yeah, what people were writing was like would be a good detector. Is there going to be a conflict there?
And also not having a McDonald's.
What?
Have you heard that statistic?
No, I have not heard that statistic.
Wars haven't happened between like two countries with a McDonald's in X number of years.
I've not heard that.
So maybe they're.
I guess everyone just needs more Big Macs.
Well, I don't know about that. That's not an endorsement.
No, it's not. I'm a vegetarian. So like all this cool research behind it.
And that's what you pitch to the students.
That's what I pitch to the students, yeah. And then, so when students join or start the MBA program, one of their requirements through the Leadership Center is to take an emotional intelligence assessment. So this is get like a baseline of where your brain is. Like,
is there a specific assessment test?
Yeah, I won't say what it is because like then I don't want to like the university has weird things about us like giving people free advertising time.
What can you tell me after the after the podcast? You'll tell me off air, right?
Yeah, I can tell you off.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, yeah, you guys don't get to know. And then students can opt into taking it again at the end of their MBA to see like how they've grown.
Okay,
And-
yeah, taking the assessment to see what's changed.
Yeah, yeah. And
Have they become more empathetic or?
Well, and what I've found is that students that participate in the more time students participate in Tepper Reads, I offer it once per semester. The higher probability that their empathy scores will go up and that their emotional intelligence scores will go. They're like overall general emotional intelligence scores.
Yeah,
It's not a huge like the pool we're looking at is more like 20 people per year. You know what I mean? It's not like a massive amount of people. So no, it's probably more like 80 people per year. But we still like the numbers are promising. Like I'd have to do a study like over maybe 5 years, and I haven't even been doing it for 5 years yet. You know, to
But an MBA program is a 2-year program, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So if I were in the MBA program at Tupper, could I take this each semester? Could I take it 4 times?
The assessment? No. It's
Not the assessment.
Oh,
but
Tepper Reads, yeah.
Yeah.
And if part-time students, they're actually in it for 3 years, so they could do it 6
Okay.
times if
Yeah.
they wanted to.
Okay.
But anyway, so
But
like
they get an assessment. Let's say so they get an assessment at the beginning, and then at the end of the semester.
at the end of no, at the end of their time in the MBA.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so and then I like cross-reference like how many times they've done this and that and whatever, and the evidence is promising. It's not. I couldn't write like a scientific paper. It would not be like proof that. So just to give a disclaimer that like.
But you will. Yeah, but you could fudge the numbers a little bit if you wanted to, right?
No, I'm not going to do that. So anyway, you're asking some of the books we've read.
Yeah.
This semester.
And how they're selected.
Yeah, this semester we're reading How Not to Drown in a Glass of Water by Angie Cruz.
Which you have right over here, do you not? Do you
No,
have it
no,
here?
that's a different book.
Oh.
That's a book I'm considering for next
Okay.
year. And
How Not to Drown in a Glass of Water.
by Angie Cruz. It was a New York Times notable book last year.
Yeah.
Her last novel was actually like Good Morning America Book Club's first book ever that they
Really?
picked. Yeah.
What was that book?
Dominicana. I have not read it.
Okay.
But like so we're looking for, so when I'm looking for a book, I'm looking for a character that they can get in, like that they can get inside the head of, that students can. So usually it's like not like long family sagas or anything like that. Well, part of it is like these are busy people.
Yeah.
Anything over 300 pages, it has to be really amazing in order for.
Right. Because they've got a semester to read it, right?
Yes,
so
exactly,
4 months.
Yeah, yeah.
Something like that.
The program, it's about 2 months that they have to read
okay.
the book. Yeah, yeah.
So that's not a lot of time to read, say, a 300-page book when you're doing all these other
Exactly,
things, and probably a pile of reading and.
Oh my God, they have so much work to do. Like a lot of them just basically live on campus because like they're just working all of the time. It's like not that our master's program wasn't rigorous. I don't work nearly as hard as these people.
Well, that was your choice. You could have worked harder.
Maybe not.
I could have. I could have worked harder.
I probably could have worked harder. This in the fall we read Joan is Okay by Weike Wang. Lot of fun. That's actually one of my favorite books of the past few years that I've read. It's always really enjoyable when like my own writing and reading interests, like the Venn diagram is very large when I'm reading with students. We read, oh my God, I'm blanking now. The first book we ever read was What We Lose by Zinzi Clemmons. We read Exit West by Mohsin Hamid. The Vanishing Half by Brit, Bennett, which is actually getting turned into an HBO show soon. We read The Nickel Boys by Colson, Whitehead, the only author that was too big to come to our program.
So you will select a book even if the author is unable to
Yes,
come.
and it was the right book for the right time. Like it was about like there was lots of like social justice reckoning happening in 2020.
Yeah,
and it's a book like about one of the many hidden histories of how like Black people have been marginalized throughout history. Great book, also really short. So like Colson Whitehead can be quite wordy, but this is like a really easy, powerful read.
And could you not get a Colson Whitehead impersonator to come in and sort of? You know.
I don't know if such a thing exists.
You just got to find the right agent.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, no, I actually contacted his agent and they're like, he's booked solid for the next 3 years. So I'm like, all right, well, we're not waiting 3 years to read this. Can you please just edit this so it doesn't look so terrible? Or just leave this here for fun. I'm blanking on what we read last year.
Well, I wish I could help you, but I don't know.
Hold, please. I'm going to take a look at my
You
phone.
already mentioned what you're reading right now, right?
Yeah.
Right now you're reading How Not to Drown in a Glass of Water.
Yeah, that's with students.
Okay. And so you select the books.
Oh, we read Gold Diggers by Sanjuna Sathian. That was a lot of fun too. And we read
Dead Air.
I know, Dead Air. Sorry, viewing public. But you edit that out, right?
Oh, no.
No, you don't. You just make it really.
Really fun. Really fun for the listener.
Anyway, I'm blanking on what the other book was we read last year. Oh no, it was Interior Chinatown by Charles Yu. Have you read that?
No, but you recommended it.
Oh my God. That actually, that and Joan is Okay are my like two favorite books that we've read in this program. Interior Chinatown's hilarious. And Charles Yu was just like, he won the National Book Award for that book, and like our students got to meet him, which is pretty amazing.
And when did that come out?
2020, what year is it right now?
2023.
It came out in 2020 or 2021. I can't quite remember. Excuse me. So how the books are selected is I actually just read a lot of books, like all year long. I read a lot of, I'm trying to read contemporary fiction. We don't read old books in Tepper Reads, mostly because like contemporary fiction, like fiction writers now, or fiction writers in general, have this like kind of preternatural ability to like figure out what's happening in the world right now. Like even if a book, like even if they've been working on a book for 5-6 years, when it comes out, it seems to, a good book seems to like capture the zeitgeist in a certain way. And it's also like Joan is Okay ended with the pandemic. So like that novel was like, oh, this is all stuff that we've lived through.
Yeah.
So like,
it's still currently.
Yeah, still currently, but you know what I mean? Like this is like
it doesn't get more topical than that.
It doesn't, no. So we try and I try and pick books that are like very much of the now and that students will be able to relate to. And the process is that I read 10 to 15 books per year that I think could possibly work. Most of them I don't like end up not working. And then I narrow it down to 3, and then I bring those 3 to the rest of my coworkers, and we read them together over the summer, and then narrow it down to 2 that we're going to read for the next
fall and spring.
Yeah, for the fall and spring. Yeah.
So aside from reading, and then the discussions, and then maybe an address from the author, if you're able to get all of that coordinated. Is there any writing component to it? Do the students do any writing, or?
There's not. I'm actually all very much like in the air right now, but working on something that might be writing related with students. But no, we don't like.
You don't force them to do it?
No, there was. I think when we were working with professors in the School of English, one of them for one of the meetups had students like free write during it. It was all right. I honestly I think that they just get. I mean, just like you and I, when you read a book that's making you feel stuff, you want to talk to somebody about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
like
or share it with someone. Yeah,
exactly.
Recommend it to somebody else, and then talk about it.
So a very good byproduct of the program is that, yes, like we say, like it's for empathy, critical thinking, and self-awareness. It helps enhance. That's the pitch. Community is something that I've seen happen. Like I've seen friendships forged over the fact that two people read a book together, which is pretty amazing. Like it's just like they didn't know each other, now they do, and now they're best buddies, you know, for life. Because like we've known each other, like we're in our master's program.
Bit early to say for life, right? That sounds like an exaggeration, unless you had some students pass away, which,
no.
you know,
Okay,
I hope
you're
that
right. That
hasn't
maybe it is an exaggeration. But no, it's like you forge friendships in a master's program that will probably carry on throughout your career, and to be able to like make those things happen is pretty fulfilling. And just to like I had a student in the fall email me after the author visit from Weike Wang, and she was just like, "This is my first time ever doing Tepper Reads. I didn't do it last year." She's like, "But now I want to read every single book that you've ever read. So can you send me a list of all of the books that you've read?" I'm just like, that's cool as hell. You know what I mean? Like that you're getting really good fiction into the hands of somebody who, like, honestly, like people in the business world are making decisions that affect more people than like writers are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and it's, if you know, for you, that's really validating as well when you're getting that kind of feedback and seeing people grow in that way. And
yeah, she was just so excited. She's like, "I'm going to read them all over break." I was like, "Go for it,
Did
man."
she do it? Have you checked them?
She did not get to read them all because like I had an extra copy of one of them, and I was like, "I'll just mail you this." So she didn't get to read that one, but I don't know. I'm excited though. It's like exciting when like there's always like we always get like a good turnout, and then the people that actually show up to the events is definitely smaller because like lots of people, like when our students, there are some people that sign up for everything, and then they realize like, holy crap, I cannot do everything.
Yeah, just
like
overextended.
Yes, yeah. But then there's like this like always this like core of students who are like, maybe I'm in the wrong field. Not that I want them to question their whole like life or whatever, but like they get a love of literature that they didn't even know existed before.
Yeah.
And so like they can like, you know, be in a bookstore with their friends or even at freaking Target. Like they sell a lot of the authors' books that we've read at Target. Like I met that author. You know what I mean? Like that's such a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Or I have a book signed by that.
exactly.
Author.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very cool. So, what's your history like with reading? When do you feel like you became a reader?
I've read a lot as a kid. I grew up very religious, so I read
The Bible.
a lot of the Bible. Yeah, Bible
Proverbs.
every day.
New Testament, Old Testament.
All of the testaments.
Do you have a preference for a testament?
No.
Okay.
As a non-religious person anymore, I don't read the Bible anymore.
But you did. But anyway, the habit was.
Yeah. I always read as a kid, and then like.
What was the first sort of non-religious reading that you?
The first
really
non-religious reading that was almost a religious text to me, and this is going to be very cliched because.
Let me guess. What could it have been?
I'm a white guy. I'm a teenager at this time.
Well, okay, so J.D. Salinger.
Yeah, Catcher in the Rye.
Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah, it was that.
Okay.
Like
I was going to make a funny joke.
Yeah, I know it's an obvious choice, but like blew my mind when I was 16. I was like, wait, other people feel like this, like how I feel right now?
So did you start
like,
calling people phonies? Like everybody?
I was already calling people phonies. So I was like, so it kind of built from there. And then I think like, you know, it's interesting. I feel like I read for maybe like the first 10 years of my reading life in a very selfish way to like find more people who were like me. You know what I mean? Like Kurt Vonnegut was big. I'm trying to think of other people right now. I can't, but like trying to like connect in that way, or like Kerouac or whatever. Like, and then I feel like probably around
Marquis de Sade.
obviously, but I feel like probably around when you and I met is when I started reading more broadly of people that are not like me.
Yeah.
And that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Like,
and isn't that where the empathy
exactly.
comes from?
Yeah. So the book that the meetup that we're having with students is in, I'm just looking at my phone to see the time, it's in like 2 weeks. And the book we're reading now, How Not to Drown in a Glass of Water, is about a 56-year-old Dominican woman who's like lost her job and is going through like career counseling. Not necessarily relatable to MBAs, you know, but I think realizing like there are going to always be haves and realizing what the have-nots life is like is pretty freaking important. Especially because like this book took place during the like 2008 financial crisis, so like business people made a lot of those bad decisions that caused that whole thing.
Sure. Well, and we're affected by them.
Yes, and we're affected
and
by
everybody,
them.
you know, anybody can lose a job. I mean, you know, and the higher up you are, the fall can be even greater. You know, when it comes. So, I mean, anybody can learn a lesson from.
Yeah, so I'm excited to find out like if they're sticking with this book, like if they're, because Joan is okay. The book we read in the fall, very relatable to a lot of our students. It's about a young doctor, not the same thing as a business person, but like
medical doctor.
Yeah, medical doctor. So, but like overachieving type personality, which a lot of our students are. I mean, they're brilliant people. You can't get into the program unless you're brilliant.
Yeah.
So like, lots of relatability there. Like, I would say doctors maybe have like a harder school experience than MBA people, but like, lots of similarities there. And
do you think it's possible to fake your way through an MBA program? Like you can't fake your way into becoming a doctor, can you? I guess you can forge your degree. But
I would say I don't know what every MBA program is like.
And I'm not saying anything about, you know, I'm not criticizing your students, but
I don't know what every MBA program is like. I know that at the Tepper School we're really small. It's a small program. We only have 200 students per class, which is I think Harvard has close to 1,000 students in their MBA program, so it's like very different. But you can't fake your way through like a small, very math-oriented master's degree program.
That's
you know
true,
what I mean?
Yeah.
You either know your shit or you
math
don't.
Or you
yeah,
don't.
yeah.
Yeah. You can probably. I mean, you can fake your way through an MFA. You know.
I think 90% of people getting MFAs do.
Yeah. So that sounds like pretty exciting stuff. It's interesting and, you know, related to your interests and also to what you went to your graduate program for. But what about the more sort of mundane or even boring aspects of your job? What's a day-to-day?
So my actual title is Academic Program Manager. Not a very exciting title.
Manager?
I manage nobody.
Mr. Manager.
Yeah, I don't manage anyone. I manage programming. But my responsibilities outside of this is I do all of the operations stuff for our office. I do our budget. I buy things. I do contracts with vendors. I am like the instructional designer for the online components of our stuff that we do. Not that stuff's not like important, but not quite as exciting to me as reading books and talking about them with people.
Yeah, there's not exactly a creative element to it.
No.
It's more organizational.
The thing that's interesting is I'm actually really good at that. I would not have expected to be good at that, and I'm not to toot my own horn, but I don't think that there are many people that could be an operations person and also like have an MFA in creative writing.
Mm-hmm.
You were in our program. Not a lot of organized people.
Well, yeah, I mean, artists, aren't known.
Artists aren't
necessarily
known for their
writing.
organization.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But it is important, though.
Oh, for
right?
sure.
Yeah, I mean, the more organized you can be.
Well, see, okay. Here's the thing that here's the bridge for me between those two like halves of my job. Mm-hmm. Creating order from chaos. That's all that it is. Mm-hmm. Writing. It's creating order from the chaos in your mind.
Yeah.
Because your mind is pure chaos. I mean, I'm guessing yours is. Maybe it's just me, but like, I think most of our minds are just like thoughts constantly. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then like writing them down, turning them into something that somebody else can understand. Mm-hmm. That's creating order out of the chaos of what's going on in your head. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's the bridge to like the stuff that I do with my job. Like books can be super chaotic, but they're still less chaotic than like, what we saw Min-Jin Lee speak last night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we're in Seattle.
We're in Seattle at the Association of Writers and Writing Programs Conference. Yeah. And the moderator in the discussion or the interviewer or whatever was like, I picture you having like a bunch of like cards with like strings like pointing to them like like a
conspiracy theory.
Yeah, that like Charlie Day meme from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Right, yeah.
You know, he always got like the cigarette and he's pointing at the thing like and that's kind of what it is though. That's what writing is. Like that's like I don't personally, I've never made the cards with the strings and stuff.
Yeah, I haven't done that.
I could see how that would be.
Yeah. I've done a smaller version of that, Sort of like a mind map or, just
or just like an outline of some sort. Yeah.
So imagine you were able to select the one book that everyone in America is going to read.
Oh man.
In America, but also the territories. So they're going to read it in Puerto Rico,
American Samoa,
Guam, American Samoa. What book would you choose?
I like of all time or like
this year you get to choose, or let's say this year. You get to choose this year. Next year, it's going to be someone else. This is your year.
I mean, I can think of a couple that would work well.
It's got to be one. You have to decide.
I can't narrow it down to one. I do think Interior Chinatown by Charles Yu would work really well. I actually read that with students, and then I ran a separate program that summer with alumni. Mm-hmm. Both of the audiences loved it and like learned a lot from it, and like it's it's hilarious. It's going to be a TV show on Hulu soon. I'm really looking forward to it. Mm-hmm. That would be one that could work well. I feel like I need. We're going to see this writer tomorrow, but Chantal Johnson's novel, Chantal V. Johnson, her novel Post Traumatic, blew me away when I read it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing her speak tomorrow. Mm-hmm. That came out last year. Sorry, I like keep the books that I read in my notes app.
Yeah, that's okay.
So I'm just like...
Yeah, take a look. I do the same thing. I have a list of what I've read and what I've liked. And well, let me...
This is not a new book at all, but probably the best book I've read in the last year is The Years by Annie Ernaux. Mm-hmm. She just won the Nobel Prize last year in literature, French woman. Mm-hmm. The Years is like one of those books that's about everything somehow and isn't terrible. It's just, it's the best book I can remember recently. I would definitely recommend a lot.
Okay, for the whole country.
The whole world.
And the territories.
The whole world.
Okay, one world, one read.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you one more question about the Tepper Reads, because you've mentioned a lot of books. It sounds like the authors you're choosing are from pretty diverse backgrounds, right? And you want one of the main goals is like increased empathy, among the students. So I imagine ideally, maybe they'd be reading books by an author who's not of the same, say, race, gender, ethnicity, etc. Yeah. So how much does diversity play a role in the book or the books that you choose for the program? Is it something you're consciously thinking about, or?
I think about it a little bit, but I'm thinking about plot when I'm reading these things. So like, I read like I feel like a handful of different websites are like, these are all the books that are coming out this year that you should pay attention to. Like LitHub does it, The Millions, New York Times.
Yeah.
I read the plot of the book
Daily Wire.
first. Do they?
Daily Wire.
I don't even know what the
Fox,
Daily Wire is.
Fox News.
No, that would just be all Tucker Carlson.
4chan.
8kun, isn't that like what surpassed 4chan?
8chan, right?
I thought there was an 8kun as well. I don't know what that means.
C-U-N?
K-U-N.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm not into that shit.
I don't get on the dark web.
What was the original? Oh, just ethnicity.
Yeah.
I will say that the Tepper School tends to trend male and white. This year, though, is the first time that we actually have more international students than domestic students. So we have a large East Asian and South Asian population of students. So I think that it's kind of important for our students to read writers that might look like them. You know what I mean? Like, like I picked Joan is Okay because it's about a Chinese American woman, and there's lots of Chinese American students that are in our program, but there's also the white dudes that are in the program too. And like, they need to understand what these other people who aren't like them and they may not have interacted a lot with look like. So there was also like, one thing that was really interesting was when all of the social justice stuff in 2020, 2021, Black Lives Matter, all that stuff, I picked books that address those themes. Colson Whitehead's The Nickel Boys and Brit Bennett's The Vanishing Half. And students that were not from the US had heard about like racism and stuff like that, but don't even really understand what it is. And then they saw all these protests happening and they're like, I want to know more about that, but I have no idea where to start. And this was like, these were books that were like a good like introduction and just like add a human face to it. Like when you see a bunch of people protesting, it's hard to remember that they're all human beings. But like when you get into like someone's head or like a story of just like a small number of people, that gets writ large in someone's mind. So, but honestly, plot is the thing that I care about the most. I also like selfishly want one book per year that I really like the narrative voice of, because voice is really important to me in writing. That we have good voice for both of the books this year, but I really loved Joan is Okay by Weike Wang. That character she's great.
And speaking of voice, it's a different type of voice, but you have a great voice. You have a great podcast voice. Has anyone ever told you that?
I have been told that many times. The Tepper Reads podcast didn't happen this spring, but it is available everywhere that you want to listen to podcasts.
And is that... Oh, okay, so I could listen to that.
It's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Stitcher and Spotify.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. So people outside of the program can read the book along with everyone in the program.
If they'd ever heard of it.
If they were so inclined, they knew it existed.
And
well, they will now, you know.
Yeah, I'm also the host of the like official podcast for the business school. It's like that for some reason right now is only on SoundCloud. But
okay, so that's not reading related then.
No, that's just me interviewing people, interviewing alumni.
Oh, okay, you interview alumni who are now doing businessy type things.
Yeah.
All right, what do you know about Canada?
I grew up in Rochester, New York, which is about an hour's drive from Canada, so I spent a lot of time there. Toronto was the big city.
And you've been to Toronto several times?
Oh, yeah, we went to Toronto on field trips.
Really?
Yeah.
To the Space Needle and...
You know what?
Or the CN Tower.
I never went to... Yeah, we're in Seattle.
Yeah,
so I've never been in the CN Tower, but I've seen it. But like we would go to the museums there and stuff like that. Like for New York City, it was a 6-hour drive from Rochester, but Toronto was like a little less than 3. So it was like if you wanted to go to a city, that's the city that you went to.
Okay, so you went there several times, and in Niagara Falls, I imagine, in Canada. And have you been elsewhere in Canada? Where else have you been?
No, only Toronto
That's
and
it,
Niagara
Toronto,
Falls.
Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the reason I ask is because we have some Canadian trivia questions that I'm going to give you. Okay?
I know a hell of a lot about Canadian trivia.
All right, well, let's see
I
how
think
you
you're
do
going to be
there.
impressed.
Let's see how you do. I've got 5 questions for you. Okay, number 1. Finn the Whale is the official mascot of what Canadian NHL team?
The Canucks. Who doesn't know that? Vancouver, right?
Correct. Yeah, the Vancouver Canucks. Okay. Question 2. What is the official flower of Ontario, Canada?
The beautiful, wonderful white trillium.
You are correct. Okay,
Yeah.
2 for 2.
Well, I mean, trillium also grow in the area where I grew up, so like,
Okay.
I know what they look like. I've seen them. I actually think they might be. I thought that they were the state flower of New York, but now I'm realizing, now I'm remembering that
the
they
rose.
were. Yeah, that's the rose.
Yeah.
But you know, the Bette Midler song.
I don't know how that goes.
No, me neither.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I don't know.
Something. But I think it's actually a protected species in New York. I could be wrong though.
Okay. Does Midler have anything to do with that?
No,
Okay.
No. She didn't write the trillium. She wrote
Okay.
the rose.
Yeah, the trillium. Oh, yeah, that's a whole different song.
Yeah.
All right. 2 for 2 so far. Question 3. Dan and Eugene Levy created what Canadian sitcom that officially ended its run of 6 seasons and 80 episodes in April of 2020?
Schitt's Creek.
You are correct. And can you spell Schitt's?
Which way? The way of the show?
Yeah.
SCHITT''S.
Yeah, correct. Okay. Bonus points for the spelling.
Yeah.
Question 4. 3 for 3 so far. So here's question 4. Canadian recording artist Avril Lavigne was born on...
I know this because it's my wife's birthday, 9/27/84.
That's right, yeah, September 27th, 1984. And so you're 4 for 4 so far. Question 5. For all the marbles, what is the oldest national park in Canada?
It was founded in 1885. Banff.
Yeah, correct. And that was my follow-up. When was it
Oh,
founded?
well,
And you
look at
got
me.
it.
I'm sorry. It's
Established in 1885.
I love
5 out of
Canada.
5. Let me give you a round of applause.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, like universal health care. I dig it.
Yeah. And
I mean,
maple syrup,
maple syrup.
poutine.
Oh, man, poutine's great. Yeah. Canada does a lot of good for the world.
Yeah, so thanks, Canada. And
you.
Matt Stewart, thank you very much. Thanks for being here. I appreciate
Always a
it.
pleasure.
Yeah. And then I'll put some stuff in the links. Maybe I'll drop some, some of the titles of the books that you mentioned.
Sure.
And there was a video that you mentioned as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll put a link to that down below as well. So thanks a lot, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
See ya. All right.
I feel like that went really long.
It was 1 hour.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah.